What supplies do you need to homeschool and where do you put it all? You obviously need curricula and educational plans to help your kids reach academic objectives, but the shopping doesn't end there. It turns out that we need storage solutions and craft supplies and all sorts of things. And once you start shopping for all that educational goodness, it can be a little hard to stop. I'm Leslie Maddox, an engineer turned homeschool mom, and I want to help you customize your homeschool. In the last Homeschool Planning Decoded video, we talked about setting up a homeschool space that works for your family. In this video, let's talk about what you actually need in the way of supplies so that you'll be prepared for the beginning of the school year and so that you can stop yourself from buying out the teacher supply store. If you're using the Homeschool Plan Decoded Starter Kit, you'll be happy to hear that it contains ready-to-go supplies checklists for your convenience as you make an inventory of your school supply needs. You can find a link to the starter kit below. If not, grab a piece of paper and let's get started. You can also go shopping on my supplies webpage. You'll find most of the things I talk about in this video there. Let's tackle this topic by thinking about categories of things. Starting off with basic school supplies. And what's more basic than pencils? I have a love-hate relationship with pencils because, as I've mentioned in previous videos, it seems like everywhere I look, there's a pencil on the floor. And those pencils are usually Ticonderogas. That's a brand that seems to be recommended by everybody, and I have no complaints. If you have children that are just learning to write, avoid those big fat pencils. People buy them because they think a bigger pencil is easier for their kids to hold, but their size makes them heavy too. Too heavy for small hands that are not accustomed to holding and maneuvering a pencil. So small children will be better off if you go in the opposite direction. Get very small pencils instead of very big ones. You'll eventually need erasers to put on those pencil tops, and my favorite, by far, are the pink erasers. And you also need a pencil sharpener. I've gone through a few, and this one is the one that has worked out the best so far. If you have older kids, don't forget about pens and highlighters. One fun option for pens are friction erasable pens. Since they're erasable, even younger children may enjoy using them, making schoolwork a little more fun and delightful. But I wouldn't use them for anything that you want to keep long term, since heat and cold affect what pen marks you see. If your older kids use non-erasable pens, they'll appreciate correction tape, so put that on the list. Of course, you'll need something to write on. You have a choice of loose leaf paper or notebooks. The better option for your family will depend on what you'll need it for. Maybe you'll need both. Maybe you'll need only one. Think about the curriculum system that you've chosen. If you're using a weekly binder system, you'll probably need loose leaf paper. Think about this. I have a bunch of notebooks I bought a few years ago, and every time I see them, I'm irritated because we just don't need them. I hate wasting money. Continue your list thinking about what else you'll need for the curriculum system you've chosen. If your chosen system will involve organizing your curriculum into file folders, get hanging folders and maybe even manila folders. I color code my kids just to make things a little easier on me, so I get hanging folders that are my kids' colors. That way I don't have to put names on the folders. The color tells me whose curriculum is in that folder. Don't forget the file cart or a crate for your curriculum system. I'm using this file cart. I mostly love it. It rolls, fits under my desk, has lots of storage, and fits all the curriculum I use for my 3 kids. 2 of the wheels did break off at different times, but I didn't find a better file cart at that price, so I repaired it using this. Back to curriculum systems. Depending on the one you choose, you may need binders and dividers. I like these pocket dividers. Pockets are convenient for when papers are torn out of the binder or for smaller items like a Polly Pocket with flashcards. A workbox system will require some sort of drawer system. I like these 10-drawer systems with the wider drawers. They accommodate binders well, as well as manipulatives for younger kids. And they also hold a crate on top very well for those items that you'll be putting into the drawers. If you have younger kids, you'll probably need a whole lot of craft supplies. We're talking crayons, markers, colored pencils, construction paper, drawing paper, glue, tape, scissors. Come to think of it, kids of all ages have fun with these supplies. And the curriculum you use may have your kids coloring and creating things. So that's the next thing you should do. Look through all of your curriculum to see what supplies they call for. Look for supplies needed section in your teacher's manuals. If you don't find that, try to take a quick look through the lessons to see what kinds of activities you find and what supplies you might need for them. If you signed your kids up to participate in a class or co-op, you should also find out what supplies will be needed for those classes, in addition to a backpack, lunch bag, and pencil case. Let's move on to teacher supplies. That's you. You're the teacher and you'll be marking papers. Even if you don't track grades, part of the learning process involves checking your kids' work to see if they're having trouble with a concept or need to make corrections. I like to use a pen that's a different color than my kids are using on their papers so that my marks and notes stand out. So grab some pens or pencils to mark your kids' work, maybe in a couple of different colors. Other supplies that you'll find helpful are a 3-hole punch, scissors, stapler, paper clips, binder clips, and a label maker. I also laminated a lot of things when my kids were in preschool and kindergarten. If you think you might do the same, grab a laminator and laminating pouches. You may find a paper trimmer helpful too. If you're setting up a dedicated homeschool space, you may want to hang educational posters with command strips. And I've used these little Velcro dots for so many things, from workbox drawers to calendar dates. One item that I use every week is a bag to hold binders, books, pencils, whatever we need if we homeschool on the go or even just go in the backyard. I like this one from 31 Gifts with a file holder insert because it sits upright, holds binders easily, and zips up, but you can probably find something similar elsewhere. If you're setting up a dedicated homeschool space, you'll need to consider larger items like desks and shelves. I'll link to my homeschool room tours below so that you can see some examples, but think inspiration, not imitation. In general, I would avoid wood and expensive furniture if you have young kids, because they're going to mess it up. If you're a new homeschooler and think, oh, my kids are good, they'll be fine, watch out, because being at home all day surrounded by school supplies will eventually result in messes and scribbles exactly where you don't want them. For your shelves, think about what you'll be storing on the shelves. If you're just storing books, I recommend getting regular bookshelves. Get the deeper shelves that accommodate storage bins only for bulk storage, especially if those shelves are going to end up in an area where you don't have a lot of room to begin with. And don't forget about bookends for those shelves. I like these colorful metal bookends. Now some bigger ticket items, electronics. If you chose to incorporate any screen-based learning in your kids' curriculum plans, you'll need a desktop or laptop that your kids can use. If your curriculum comes with DVDs, you may want to make sure that it has an optical drive or buy an external optical drive. Tablets like iPads are also a great educational tool, and I love Kindles for older kids that are reading chapter books. Let's not forget a printer. This HP printer has been working well for us. I like using the HP Instant Ink program because they monitor my ink levels and send me printer ink when it's getting low, which means I never have to run out and get it. If that sounds good to you, get a printer that supports the Instant Ink program. Before moving on to how you'll store all the things, let me mention a few other supplies that I've used and loved. A large magnetic dry erase board. You can use it for teaching, as a place for wiggly kids to stand and write spelling words, and as a place to easily hang artwork. Small dry erase boards. These are nice for sitting at a desk, especially if you don't have a dry erase board hanging on a wall. Magnetic bookmarks. These make great first day of school gifts and stocking stuffers, since there are so many cute designs, and they don't fall out of books as easily as regular bookmarks. Washi tape for color-coding kid supplies. Do you think any of my kids claim a pencil on the ground if it isn't marked with their color of washi tape? Nope. I guess they think my husband and I just walk around the house scattering pencils like rose petals. An old-fashioned school globe. Maps are great too, and I recommend getting a map of your country. I tend to use a globe a lot, especially for history. Index cards for flashcards. There are a lot of different sizes of flashcards, so you may want to start with regular index cards and then get other sizes as needed. And clipboards. My kids don't need these as much since we've moved to a binder system, but they're nice to have. If you color code your kids, get colored clipboards, and you'll always know who left theirs out. Okay, now where are you going to put all these things? The Homeschool Plan Decoder Starter Kit has a homeschool organization worksheet that will help you plan out where to put everything. In general, I recommend you store items near where you're going to actually need them. For example, I store most of our curriculum in our schoolroom, but we like to read in the living room on the couch, so I'll keep whatever books we're using, as well as fun science and history books, in the living room. Craft supplies are in our craft room and in a closet under the stairs. So think about where you'll store different categories of items, including curriculum being used, curriculum not being used, teacher's manuals, student schoolwork, completed schoolwork, books to read, games and puzzles, manipulatives, school supplies, craft supplies, and science supplies. You want to think about this because the storage solutions you use may depend on where you will be using them. For example, if you'll be storing books in the living room, you may want to get something cute to put them in, like a basket from World Market or Home Goods, and not a plastic bin from the teacher supply store. Besides baskets and bins for books, you may want magazine holders for binders and workbooks. I like these metal ones from IKEA. They are super sturdy. Sterlite drawers are great for craft supplies. The starter kit has some labels that you can print out for these 3-drawer units, Or you may like your craft supplies out where your kids can easily grab them. I like this metal one from Lakeshore Learning because it's easy to wipe down and carry around. A paper organizer for your printer paper, construction paper, and maybe even scratch paper. And a drawer organizer for pencils, pens, bookmarks, etc. If your kids have desks, they may need some too. If you want to label all those things, I like this project sticker printer paper. I can design cute labels for my bins, magazine holders, and workbox drawers on Canva or in PowerPoint or Photoshop, print them out, and cut them to size. One last note about storage supplies. When getting bins and things targeted to children, you'll find a lot of color. And color can certainly be fun and brighten up a space, but I caution you to be careful about how much color you use. A lot of color can be overstimulating. For those of us that are especially sensitive to a lot of color, spending time in a very colorful room can go from feeling fun to hostile. It's actually exhausting for the nerves. So maybe every bin doesn't have to be bright and colorful. In the next Homeschool Plan Decoded video, we'll move from organizing your physical supplies to your digital files. Remember that you can access all of the videos that walk you through the steps of the Homeschool Plan Decoded method of customizing your homeschool right now at the link below, and happy organizing!